will have a place in terms of the division of labor. Those that don't, those that need physical reps, will be minimized. And I don't know that them talking about it is going to aid that. I'm just on to Cleveland. Maybe it's just the nature that this is a Thursday night. But by the time my car leaves that parking lot, I'm on the move. I've been in it too long to bathe in it, to be quite honest with you.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Check, check, and check. That's the sound of me getting a jump start on my holiday list. But I can't take all the credit. Kohl's makes it too easy. I got my daughter a mini instant camera, my husband his favorite cologne, my sister Kookaburra by UGG slippers, and that's just the beginning. Then I got 20% off some of my other gifts. Yep, it doesn't get better than Kohl's. Select styles. Offer valid through November 23rd. Coupons do not apply to Tech, Sephora at Kohl's, and Kookaburra by UGG. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
I got a line.
He got a line.
She got a line.
We got 4 lines. Cricket Nation. Q finger guns. Really easy. Super stress-free. 5G so fast like blazing fast. Games and memes. You'll have a blast. You can get fast 5G across 4 lines. You can get fast 5G across 4 lines. As we discuss, take it from us. We 4R1 Cricket Nation.
And only $25 a line. Welcome to more lines. Welcome to Cricket Nation. Smile. You're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G requires a compatible device. Is not available everywhere. Discount varies by line. Fees may apply. Terms and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
No way football is played in the fall and winter
because the hits don't hurt as much when you're numb. Get the lowdown on all the sports action coming up right here.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Off and running in today's edition of Football Full Circle right here on the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius Channel 159, Lisi and Wetzel taking you around the NFL for the next hour. Some news and notes to get to, and Scott and I haven't talked, but the Jets fired their GM, Joe Douglas, yesterday. What does that mean for Aaron Rodgers and the team moving forward? Ray Lewis potentially might be named as a future head coach of FAU. We'll see how that plays out in the offseason. And then how about this, Scott? I don't know if you saw this in regards to Kevin Stefanski, but he's not worried about being on the hot seat. This was the NFL Coach of the Year that did take the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs with a fourth-string quarterback, Joe Flacco. What a difference a year makes, right? It's almost similar to what we're seeing in Florida State with Mike Norvell. He could be out this year at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, how about that 22-game swing from 13-0 to 1-9 or 1-10, whatever they are this year down at Florida State. He was on the hot seat before last year, so last year gave him a 1-year reprieve. It's not like Stefanski, not that he's had a whole lot of success either, but he's basically been given the ball and chain of Deshaun Watson. So I don't know if you necessarily will blame him. I always picture it, Joe, as if a guy gets fired. Is there another team ready to sign him up right away? Robert Saleh with the Jets, probably not. We haven't seen that. Kevin Stefanski, the teams might give him a pass, believe it or not. Knowing that it's Watson. And he got to the postseason with Flacco last year. You got to give him credit for that.
And he does have 2 Coach of the Year awards, right? He did it a couple of years ago, did it last year as well. So it's not like he just did it with one team. He did it with 2 teams respectively. And, at the end of the day, he's still a good offensive mind. He's not, I'll say, he's obviously not Bill Belichick or even, some of the other coaches that potentially could be out there. I mean, if we're thinking coordinators, you think Bobby Slowick with Houston, Ben Johnson with Detroit. He's still a coach that, could take over a program. I would put it this way. I would much rather have at Tennessee Kevin Stefanski than McDonald Callahan that's over there in terms of that organization. I haven't seen much in terms of what he's been able to do with, cultivating the quarterback and even getting that team, dialed in to win football games. Who would you rather have? I know it's similar to potentially Mike Vrabel, but still I would rather have that type of head coach in Tennessee than a first-year coach in Callahan that really hasn't done all that well.
I suppose, but he was given an all-pro quarterback, and he's done nothing with him. He's got to take some of the blame. You want to say it's Watson, all the things off the field. Maybe he's no longer really interested in football, whatever the case may be. But that's up for the head coach. to get that guy to be motivated to be interested in football. If that's the reason why Watson has played so poorly as a Cleveland Brown. So, yeah, I mean, he'll probably get another shot. But, these offensive coordinators, Joe, even Ben Johnson in Detroit, listen, give him all the credit in the world, but, put him on a lousy team with a lousy quarterback. Is he going to have the same success as he's had in Detroit? Probably not. These guys are all a dime a dozen. They all capitalize on, how great you think back to the Norv Turners of the world and all those coordinators with the Dallas Cowboys and all those guys all got jobs. There wasn't one that did anything, but when you have Troy Aikman, and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin, boy, they're all the greatest things in the world, right? But take them outside that situation, and what did Norv Turner in particular ever accomplish, right? Nothing. So,
you're right.
You have to like the guy. If the guy's a good guy, you think you're comfortable with him, then you hire him. But otherwise, it's not like he deserves it on merit.
And I guess you could throw Brian Dable into that group, right? Overexceeds in year one, a great coordinator at Buffalo, great coordinator in college at Alabama, coached up the quarterback position. And all of a sudden, when you have a marginal quarterback, all of a sudden the wins are very hard to come by, right? And Brian Dable potentially, in terms of reports, is coaching for his job over the next, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the regular season. We'll see. They do play on Thanksgiving night with Tommy Cutlets going up against Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. I did see this report, and I guess it ties into Douglas, and we could talk about it, right? John Gruden potentially maybe being mentioned as one of the coaches for the New York Jets, and then the report yesterday in terms of what Woody Johnson had came out and said, I don't know if you saw it, that after week number 4, he was calling and begging the coaches to start Tyrod Taylor over Aaron Rodgers. So there is a disconnect, right? Douglas gets fired, Robert Saleh gets fired. Is it the fact that Woody Johnson after week 4 is recognizing that Aaron Rodgers wasn't the same player in Green Bay? And even though we gave him the benefit of the doubt, once he saw the product on the field, he went to the coaches and the GM and said, I want a different quarterback, and they pushed back. Could that be why Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are no longer there?
Maybe. That's it. I mean, it's funny that they would give up on him after 4 games, right? After not playing at all the year before. And, the coordinators and the head coach and everyone, the coordinator's his best buddy, so I can't believe it would be him. At that point, anyway, he was. So that's bizarre. I got into a little Twitter battle last night, Joe. I don't know why the Jet fan is blaming Woody Johnson. Here in New York in particular, we've had owners that were hands-on, i.e. George Steinbrenner, and the Yankee fans always complained about that. Or the NFL, you got a Jerry Jones, and people are complaining, Jerry Jones at fault, he's getting too much involved, right? Okay. So Woody Johnson basically has done nothing. Every move that the Jets wanted to make, he's okayed. I don't get why the Jet fan blames this on Woody Johnson. What am I missing? He brought in a GM that's got a great track record. He brought in a hot head coach that everyone wanted, Robert Saleh at the time. They go get Aaron Rodgers. All right, you swing and miss on Zach Wilson, but go look at that draft. I told that to Ben yesterday. Look at that draft. There wasn't a quarterback in that draft that was worth anything after Trevor Lawrence. They all stunk. So it's not like they missed on another quarterback. They needed a quarterback. So they all stunk, whether it's Justin Fields or Zach Wilson or Mac Jones, you name it, they're all bad.
Trey Lance.
Outside of Trey Lance. Yeah, Trey Lance, right? I mean, I don't know why you're blaming the owner, though. I don't get the angst against the owner. He spent the money, brought in Rodgers, went and got Devontae Adams. He's done everything the Jets have wanted him to do. Well, what do you want as a fan?
Well, I'll tell you what I think it is. It's perception. Right? It's perception in the sense of, yes, Woody did bring Aaron Rodgers to New York. And the perception last year was they were 7-10 with Zach Wilson. If they had a significant upgrade at the quarterback position, this team would have been 10 or 11 wins, right? So he did the right thing initially with bringing the better quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, whether it be 40, 50 million, whatever they paid him, he made that initial step in the initial right move. The bad move, or where the fans, I believe, and I think they are right to this capacity, is that allowing Aaron Rodgers to dictate everything that went on inside the locker room. I want my coordinator. I don't want your coordinator. I want my guys, the same guys I supposedly couldn't win with Green Bay with. I want those guys in the locker room. I want this. I want that. you want to have mandatory OTAs. We're a team, but I'm not going to be there. I think because Woody allowed that to happen, the perception from the fan base is Aaron Rodgers ran the organization and he reacted to what Aaron Rodgers wanted, as opposed to being the owner of the organization and having the team's best interest first and foremost in terms of that aspect.
Do you blame the head coach? Do you blame the GM for that? Now you want to blame the owner for that, right?
I'll tell
he's
you
not
why.
there on the football field.
Yeah,
he's not letting Aaron Rodgers go run laps
right.
and Rodgers no.
But be honest, Scotty, does Robert Salah and Hackett and that whole group all answers to Aaron Rodgers? The only one that doesn't answer to Aaron Rodgers is the owner, Woody, that brought Aaron Rodgers there, that gave him all of these things that he wanted. I think that is the difference in why the fan base is upset, and I think they are, rightfully so. We'll come back. We'll talk more New York Jets. We'll also dive into the week slate for number 12 in the NFL. Keep it where it is.
Don't look like an idiot at work. Know your stuff. Football and everything else.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Federal wildlife officials are investigating the removal of a bald eagle nest at the site of a planned subdivision in Auburn, Alabama. With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. Agents with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which issued a permit to the subdivision developer to remove the nest, are reviewing the removal at the request of city officials to make sure the developer followed the terms and conditions of the permit. Bald eagle nests cannot be disturbed without a federal permit. The tree containing the nest was chopped down over the weekend, upsetting nearby residents who hope to stop the removal of the nest where they say a pair of bald eagles had resided for several years. Spirit Airlines has filed for bankruptcy as financial losses pile up and debt payments loom. Spirit, the biggest U.S. budget airline, filed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy petition after working out terms with bondholders. The airline has lost more than $2.5 billion since the start of 2020 and faces looming debt payments totaling more than $1 billion in 2025 and 2026. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
I got a line.
He got a line.
She got a line.
We got 4 lines. Cricket Nation, Q finger guns, really easy, super stress-free. 5G so fast, like blazing fast. Games and memes, you'll have a blast. You can get fast 5G across 4 lines. You can get fast 5G across 4 lines. As we discuss, take it from us. We 4R1 Cricket Nation.
And only $25 a line. Welcome to more lines. Welcome to Cricket Nation. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. Discount varies by line. Fees may apply. Terms and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Not sure how much you know about Progressive Insurance. You may know us for insuring your home and auto. You may know a couple of our commercials. But what you may not know is that since 2013, Progressive has been honoring veterans with vehicle donations through the annual Keys to Progress Veteran Vehicle Giveaway Program, giving back to those who gave so much. Now, you probably didn't wake up today saying, I really wish I knew more about Progressive Insurance, but this seemed like the type of thing people wouldn't mind hearing about. Find out more about how we're dedicated to our customers and communities at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Fall is almost here.
It's time to stow the lawnmower and get ready for all that glorious action coming your way. Stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the strategies, angles, and info you need to get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Back on Football Full Circle, we'll dive into the Week 12 slate that starts on Thursday night, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. We'll dive into that over the next couple of segments, and we'll kick it off. But Scott and I got involved in a discussion about the New York Jets, and I brought up the New York Giants. So I'll pose it to you this way, Scott. We talk about Brian Daboll fighting for his job. They need a new head coach in New York on the Jets side, right? Both of their quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers, most likely, for the most part, 90 to 95% gone in regards to, starting under center next year. So I'll pose it to you this way. There's talent on both sides. You can make the argument, if you're a coach, which team can get back to at least respectability first and make it to a playoff, and which is the better job if you're an NFL head coach, the Jets or Giants?
Oh, well, the better job is the Giants just because of their franchise and their organization and their history. Although, if they fire Daboll, then they are going through head coaches here like it's nobody's business. You think about when Tom Coughlin all the Pat Shermers and all the guys that they've had. Each one is getting like 2-3 years, and then McAdoo, right? So, but normally I'd say the Giants is the better job, but the better team. If I'm a head coach that I wanted to take, it's the Jets in a landslide. The Jets' talent is tenfold over the Giants' talent. Who would you want on that Giant team after Malik Neighbors? I mean, basically nobody. Whereas the Jets, now that they got Devontae Adams, I mean, they got 2 great wide receivers, theoretically, 2 good running backs in the backfield. The offensive line stinks, but okay, you got to shore that up. A defense that, for whatever reason, has regressed this year, but should be good on paper. I think the Jets' job, and you're in a division in which the Patriots stink. The Dolphins, too, is an accident waiting to happen. You do have Buffalo, but okay, at least there's only one team. Giant team, you got Washington, is going to be good. Dallas is going to rebound, that. And Philadelphia is going to be good for a long time. That's the tougher division in my eyes.
Well, think about it. So the AFC East, you have Buffalo, right? Potentially you can make the argument at plus 650. They're one of the best teams, if not, with Detroit right there after their victory over Kansas City. You have Miami that, unless they get rid of Waddle and Tyreek Hill, they're going to be competitive. They have a bunch of young talent offensively. Jalen Wright, Devon Achane. I mean, come on. They have played Janu Smith. What a huge performance.
How'd they play without Tua Tags? They were a last place team.
But that's how do you think the Bills would perform without Josh Allen? I mean, we can make that argument on a...
but Tua's an accident waiting to happen. He's not even going to. If there was a bet on FanDuel when he finished the season, I'm betting no. There's a concussion right around the corner.
Wait a second. So you have the Washington Commanders. You have the Philadelphia Eagles. As far as I'm concerned, Dallas is dead and buried. Now, Dak Prescott
for the season. This season, they won 12 games.
Sucks, though. But
they won 12 games the last 3 years, Joe. They were 12-5 the last 3 seasons. Say what you want about the postseason, but I wouldn't want to face them in a regular season.
So, all right. So then let me ask you this. You're Gruden or you're Belichick or you're one of these hot coordinators, right? Are you going Jets? Are you going Giants? Or are you going Dallas? Because they're all similar situations.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm going Jets. I'm going Jets. The Giants have nobody. I mean,
I would go Giants over both of those teams. I would.
Why?
I would because I think the talent in terms of the offensive side of the ball for New York isn't that bad. Is it elite? No, you're right. Malik Neighbors, he's the best player on that offense, right? They're in the market for a running back, although Tyrone Tracy has come on. I mean, one of the most productive running backs in the NFC over the past 4 or 5 weeks, right? He's a young player. You have Theo Johnson. You have Jalen Hyatt. They'll most likely get rid of Darius Slayton, but Wan'Dale Robinson is a compliment. He's not Jalen Waddle. He's not, Jordan Addison, but he's still a good playmaker that could step up, right? You have problems on the offensive line. You have problems in the secondary for that matter. But the front seven in terms of Dexter Lawrence and that group isn't all that bad. You could build around that. I still think that the Giants are maybe from being a playoff contender with an average quarterback, maybe 2 dominant defensive players away and an elite running back. Like you get somebody with Tyrone Tracy. I don't believe Tyrone Tracy's Saquon Barkley. I don't. I know he's putting up dynamic numbers. I think he's a compliment to, some of the other running backs there. Maybe he'll turn into Kyren Williams throughout the course of the regular season. I'll be wrong. Still think you need to draft a running back, but I like the offensive talent. The reason why I wouldn't pick the Jets, and tell me where I'm wrong. Garrett Wilson, all in. I agree 100%. Conklin, give or take, right? Tight end, there's a little. Devontae Adams. What are you getting out of him? And I know he's got the talent. Is he bought in or is he bought out? If Devontae doesn't like something, he's going to do exactly what he did in terms of Las Vegas. The guy will be checked out midway through the regular season. You're losing on your investment. That's why I think it's a problem for New York, the Jets.
Well, that's why you take responsibility as a head coach. I mean, it's up to the head coach. If you're a good head coach, you're a good motivator, you get these guys to buy in. Simple as that. I mean, theoretically, guys making $15, $20 million, they should buy in. I get that, but it's up to the head coach to say, okay, this is our team and we're going to win and, you're a big part of it and blah, blah, blah. You got to be a salesman as a head coach nowadays.
Let me ask you this. Is Devontae Adams going to buy into a Ben Johnson type of approach Is he going to buy into a Bobby Slowick type of approach? Is he going to buy into a Bill Belichick type of approach? Or is he going to buy into a John Gruden type of approach that was already there with the Las Vegas Raiders? I mean, that is.
He's going to have to. Right? I mean, now it's his career. It kind of reminds me of like Le'Veon Bell. I mean, your career kind of is now on the line. You went bounce from the Packers to the Raiders. Try to follow your boy there. And now you went to the Jets. You proved that, and now you're going to force the Jets to trade you as well. I mean, he's almost at a no-win. Not a no-win really, but he's in a situation where you got to buy into the Jets. Otherwise, you know what, your career's over. So let me ask you this: I'll give you a rookie quarterback, right? C.J. Stroud or maybe Jaden Daniels, a young guy. You put that quarterback on the Jets this year, Giants, and Dallas. Who's got the best record?
I think Jets. Dallas. I think
the Jets do.
I'd say Dallas. We'll see. We'll come back. We'll talk more week number 12 coming right back on Football Full Circle. Keep it where it is.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
His real name is Edson Arantes de Nascimento. To millions of soccer fans, he is known as Pelé, number 10.
1969, Brazilian soccer icon Pelé scores career goal number 1,000.
And listen to the fans chant Pelé.
Pelé joined the Cosmos in 1975 and played in front of sold-out stadiums across America. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurchis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Maybe you've heard of the infinite monkey theory. A monkey randomly typing on a typewriter for an infinite amount of time could eventually type out the complete works of Shakespeare.
Though this be madness, yet there is method in it.
A University of Technology in Sydney decided to test this theory. What would happen if a reasonable population of 200,000 monkeys all typing one letter per second until the end of time? The universe, a cold, dead cinder. The number 10 with 99 zeros, years. The answer? There's only a 5% chance that a single monkey would even type the word bananas.
So what you're saying is, it's not to be.
Follow me at Capalbo on X, and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
The early line.
The Denver Broncos, sometimes you want to show what a team is made of. And this is why Sean Payton is a great coach. You lose in devastating fashion this week. You get home and absolutely play probably your best football game of the season. That shows you a guy that's won a Super Bowl before and has the ear of that locker room and understands, like, hey, we let one slip away. Let's not let 2 games slip away. They were fantastic. Credit to that locker room and the head coach.
It's the early line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Wherever you go,
there you are.
Download the SportsGrid mobile app and we'll be right there with you.
So now you can get the winning edge
anywhere, even while the wife's talking to you.
If you got an earbud.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, diving into week number 12 of the NFL season. We'll start on the Thursday night game. It's Cleveland and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers get the victory over Baltimore. Now, I don't want to say dominating fashion, but I guess it was for the most part the way that defense shut down Lamar Jackson, right? We know that it's a black and blue game every time they play, but a lot of people did feel that, Baltimore would just steamroll the Steelers defense, put up a 40 spot and potentially walk away with that victory. A lower scoring game. They ran the football. Russell Wilson made enough plays. Now they go on the road to the dog pound, Scotty. 2-8 Cleveland. Stefanski on the hot seat. You got famous Jameis in this team right now looking for a win. Got boat raced by the Rizzler and the New Orleans Saints. Gave up a ton of yards to Taysom Hill. How do you see this one playing out? I got to be honest, I think we're going to get a lot of points in Cleveland.
I don't know about that. By the way, I'm happy my Derek Carr over passing yards for the season is back alive now. I got a shot. So
with the
I'm happy with. Yeah, I bought into that because it was a super, super low number, right? I thought it was dead when he got hurt, but fortunately Rattler stunk, so he's back in the starting lineup. And who knows, at 4-7, maybe they make a little bit of a run here. So, Jameis Winston, I don't know whatever happened, not whatever happened to him, but how did the dude throw for 40-plus touchdown passes that 1 year with Tampa Bay, and the whole world kind of knew that. No one's really kind of given him an opportunity, yes, but no one's handed him a football team and said, all right, you know what, here you go. You're our starting quarterback. They brought him in different places, had him compete, but he never was just like, you're our guy, here's a 3-year contract and go win some games for us. So he's got another opportunity here with the Browns, not necessarily with Cleveland, but for, next year with somebody else. He stinks. You know what? If Pittsburgh can beat Baltimore, I know this is a letdown. I know it's tough, right? After the Ravens playing out a short week is not ideal, but give me the Steelers. I'll lay the 3.5. And, where are all those Justin Fields apologists, by the way, that, a month and a half ago when he was being yanked for the starting lineup and everyone was crying, oh, the guy's undefeated, he's this, he's that, and I was one of the few guys who were like, yeah, but he stinks. They're not winning because of him. They're winning in spite of him. And they're a much better football team with Russell Wilson. And that's, proven out to be true. So give me Russ.
I was one of those guys, and you're not getting.
I know you were. I know you were.
I tell you what, 18 points? That's something that Justin Fields could put in? Come on, did they win that game because of Russell Wilson or their defense? Be honest with me.
Not this one, but the others. Okay. Russell Wilson making that pass against Washington, 2 weeks ago.
Now we're going to look at the pile of passes. Let's just talk about this. You don't think that if Justin Fields was under center, he could have beaten the gutless New York Jets and the gutless New York Giants the way Russell Wilson did? You don't think so? Oh, come on.
They would have found a way to lose one of those games. They would have found a way to lose one of those games.
Come on.
They weren't Washington. They would be 2-2, whatever. Whatever. They have maybe 2 wins.
But 3 road wins.
You got Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's one of the best head coaches. You telling me you're smarter than Mike Tomlin? What do you think Mike Tomlin's doing this for?
Yes, I'm a wheel. You don't know that? Come on. All right, I do want to bring up quickly because I do like the over. But Jameis Winston, 395 yards, 2 touchdowns in the loss, right? You're right about teams not giving a backup quarterback the opportunity. But you can make the argument, maybe, just maybe after this year, maybe that does happen. We saw Baker Mayfield sort of excel when he went to L.A. He got a couple of wins as the starter, and then all of a sudden that led to Tampa Bay and that situation. And look at him now. He's getting paid $30 million and living up to the hype, right? He's a quarterback on the cheap that's producing, in terms of dynamic numbers in the NFC, especially when he had Godwin and Evans in that lineup. So maybe Jameis Winston does play out the regular season, and maybe a team does take a shot. Because I'll still say this, and I know that Brock Purdy is due $65 million, Scott. But at some point, the money has to stop. What I mean by that is you can't just go to infinity. 65, 80, 90 a year. At some point, a team's got to say, you know what? This guy's not worth that much. This guy doesn't return what I'm laying out on a week-to-week or month-to-month or game-to-game basis, and we're going to start to pull back. I mean, at some point, that has to take place. Otherwise, we're just going to go to infinity. Then there's just, hyperinflation, and then that's it. Just run it off. Guys will be making $200 million a year. I mean, come on.
They might, Joe, but, as long as the salary cap goes up, then there's no stopping. And I want a GM to just say, I'm not paying you more than the best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. Case closed. Right. Agent.
We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. We'll come back. We'll dive into that Thursday night game and the rest of the slate. Coming right back.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Quick turnaround for the Steelers and the Browns. They play tomorrow night in Cleveland. The Browns are 2-8 overall, 1-4 at home. The Steelers 8-2 on the season, 4-1 on the road. Pittsburgh coming off Sunday's 18-16 win at home over the Ravens, while the Browns lost 35-14 at New Orleans. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin on the quick turnaround.
It's a short week, man. We're trying to get 8 pounds in a 5-pound bag. Those that learn quickly will have a place in terms of the division of labor. Those that don't, those that need physical reps, will be minimized. And I don't know that them talking about it is going to aid that. I'm just on to Cleveland. Maybe it's just the nature that this is a Thursday night, but by the time my car leaves that parking lot, I'm on the move. I've been in it too long to bathe in it, to be quite honest with you.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Shop early, save big all month long during Black Friday build-up at Lowe's. Right now, get select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at just $59.98. Don't wait to save. Shop these deals today, in-store or online, because Lowe's knows deals. Discount taken at time of purchase while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Finding the perfect gifts for everyone on your list takes time, and the holidays can get a little busy. So let Macy's help you get a jump on your shopping with our Black Friday sale happening right now. It's your chance to find the best deals on the best gifts before the holiday rush, like cozy puffers and coats and more of the season's best styles. So get your gifts at Macy's now, and when you're cool, calm, and collected during holiday crunch time, you'll have yourself and Macy's to thank. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Days are getting cooler.
The shadows are getting longer.
You know what that means? It's football weather. So bundle up and keep it here for all the latest strategies and gridiron information.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, we're going to dive into some of the most intriguing games in week number 12 on Friday. We'll break down every game on the docket, give some selections in regards to the week number 12 slate. So we do break down Thursday. I do like the total, and the total set, Scotty, 36.5, 3.5 point total with the Steelers, right? Divisional game on the road. They get the emotional win off of Baltimore. I'd be inclined to take the 3.5, but I really like the over. I think we sailed through the 36.5. Do you feel the Steelers can continue the momentum with Russell Wilson laying that number?
Yeah, I am going to. Conflicting trends, some good trends for unders. The logic, though, as you pointed out, Joe, does say over with this stuff. But unders 37 or less are what do we got here? Some good numbers. 25 and 16 under when you have those low numbers. Underdogs in these games generally do well in the AFC North. Yeah, right. 71, 49, and 3 of the last decade is the underdog. But I just think Pittsburgh's the better team. I think Cleveland's a mess. They're 2-8. What are they really playing for? Tough spot for Pittsburgh, but I like the Steelers.
All right, two of the NFC games that come of note that are pretty impressive. Green Bay, 2.5 over the 49ers. Total is 47.5. If the Niners lose this game, Scott, they'll be under 500, right? So shocking. At the start of the year, if I would have told you entering week number 12 or possibly week 13, Niners would be under 500, having the best price to potentially win the NFC Championship at the start of the year. Would you have bought in terms of that situation?
No, not this much. Maybe a little regression, but 5-5 and doubts about the quarterback. I wouldn't pay him that kind of money, by the way. When Debo and Christian McCaffrey start as they did last week, that's only the 5th time they've lost a football game, 20-5. This team is a mess. And somewhere along the line, Joe, you got to start looking at Kyle Shanahan. Trends are trends, and they can be a little misleading, but I'll just throw them out at you. Some of the bad trends with Kyle Shanahan. How about 2-35, Joe? 2-35 when his 49ers enter the fourth quarter trailing by 3 points or more. The guy doesn't produce any comeback wins. How about 0-40 when his team is trailing by 8 points in the fourth quarter? I mean, the numbers are just so bad about him. 12-36 straight up when trailing at the half. Forget about the fourth quarter. There's like no coaching on that San Francisco sideline, it shows. So I'm not surprised that they're an underdog. I am surprised, from the beginning of the season. To your question, are they 5-5? I never would have predicted that, but you can make the case their season's on the line here, although in the NFC it's probably not realistically, but I could see them losing. This team is just, they're not that good.
I know that Green Bay was a little inconsistent on the road with that divisional game against Chicago. I know Jordan Love made some poor throws, the interception inside the red zone, but I'll lay the 2.5. I probably play it minus 146 and then put that in a parlay with something else that I like, but I would still lay the 2.5 with Green Bay. The 47.5, I want to say over, but I'm not sure what you're going to get out of San Francisco, right? That is the biggest thing, is that San Francisco really has no offensive identity. They're not running the football as consistently as they were, earlier on, and that was even with Jordan Mason. And the regression of Brock Purdy with those playmakers there, especially if weather is a little bit cold and maybe, if there is wind or rain, that's another issue that I wouldn't be willing to back San Fran in that situation. So I lean to the under, but my best play is Green Bay in that matchup. How about this one? LA at home against the Eagles. Eagles red hot, potentially coming into form as the best team in the NFC East. They get the victory over Washington last Thursday night. Rams get the road win over New England, right? This is still a team that has won, 4 of the last 5? They're starting to come into form. They're completely healthy. I think this is a tough matchup for the Eagles. I like the Rams plus the 2.5, like them plus 126 on the money line, but I do feel we get through that 48.5.
I don't know about that. That opened up at 50.5, so the people were betting the under. It's down to 48.5.
That's why. That's another reason why I like that. You're giving me 2 points of discount. The way the Eagles are playing, I still think the Rams match up well against them.
Yeah, it's a good game. I love the Rams against the Patriots after how poorly they played against the Dolphins. But now that back to the pack here with Philadelphia, you mentioned playing great. Eagles not good, as road favorites, especially with Jalen Hurts. But to me, it's a toss-up game. So literally, I'd flip a coin and give me the Rams just because I'm getting a solid 3. If it fell lower than a field goal, I might take Philadelphia. But if you want to give me 3 with the Rams, a chance for them to really win that division now. They got renewed hope. Give me LA. But I wasn't really... as much as I love the Rams against the Patriots, I thought they would win a heck of a lot easier than what they did. They won, they covered the spread, but I really thought that had like 30-7 written all over them, and that was not the case. So I'd be a little leery with this game.
Yeah, the game that I'm leery of, is Denver and Las Vegas. And I know Las Vegas sucks. They've lost 6 straight. They came out of the bye last week. I thought they were live against our Miami Dolphins. Gardner Minshew and Brock Bowers lit it up. That was a lot in garbage time. But 5.5 on the road. Now, we're expecting Las Vegas to be dead and buried. But can we get exactly what we saw out of Bo Nix in terms of back-to-back weeks, lighting them up for 304 touchdowns? If that's the case, bet the 5.5 right now, because then they're going to win by 14 or more. I don't believe that. I think, the 4 touchdowns and the 300 yards last week was more on how bad Atlanta's defense is, as opposed to Bo Nix. He threw 3 touchdowns in terms of bubble screens where the defense couldn't even stop them inside the 30-yard line. Give me Las Vegas. I think they might strike the upset. I know I've been on Vegas for back-to-back weeks, but at plus 198, I think they could be live.
Yeah, I agree. That's a lot of points for a division game. And it's going to sound crazy, Joe, but you're alluding to it there. It's almost like Denver played too good last week. They're not that good, Give them credit. They got a winning record. Bo Nix, 3-0, 4-0 against the spread, straight up and against the spread as a favorite. But to be laying almost a touchdown on the road, really? Whoa, let's take it easy with the Denver Broncos. We're going to see why Gardner Minshew is in the NFL this week. He's got bad games where you say this guy shouldn't be, quarterbacking at the peak of high, but he's in the NFL for a reason. I think he has a good game. I think he shows it this week. I think they win the game outright.
I agree. Now, Denver to make the playoffs, Scotty, right? Because this has been, a popular bet after last week. Everybody betting Bo Nix for potentially Rookie of the Year, 10-1. He came down from 13 and 15-1. It was at 30, I believe, after the game against or before New Orleans. Minus 115 to the yes. You still believe they're a playoff caliber team? I think their defense is. I'm not sold that they can win down the stretch against other teams, especially in the division. So that is I would say to the no, I would take the minus 105.
Yeah, I would take that as well, especially knowing that the teams behind them, on paper are better. Whether it's Miami, whether it's Cincinnati, those to me on paper are better than what Denver has. So it's not like you're trying to be caught by just the Indianapolis Colts, we'll say, or the New York Jets. I mean, you got a couple good teams there that theoretically, should be better. So I would go with the no as well.
Let me throw this team out because they're 7.5-point home dogs against the hottest team in the NFL, Detroit. I'm talking about the Colts. Anthony Richardson breaks out with a 300 total yard performance, 272 through the air, another 30 on the ground, come from behind win against the Jets. Two things. I actually like them plus the 7.5, plus 152 to make the playoffs. Would you buy in if they get this victory against Detroit on Sunday?
Well, that's a big if, right? I don't think they're going to win. I gave up betting against Detroit.
But if they
do, right? You still got to catch Denver. But if Denver were to lose and then you guys win, and you still got to worry about Cincinnati, which I know should have won the other day and didn't. But I'm still not writing them off. No, I think they lose this week, and I don't think they're a playoff team.
All right, we'll come back with more playoff talk. Keep it where it is.
Yeah, it's getting cooler.
Football weather is here.
Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Federal wildlife officials are investigating the removal of a bald eagle nest at the site of a planned subdivision in Auburn, Alabama. With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. Agents with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which issued a permit to the subdivision developer to remove the nest, are reviewing the removal at the request of city officials to make sure the developer followed the terms and conditions of the permit. Bald eagle nests cannot be disturbed without a federal permit. The tree containing the nest was chopped down over the weekend, upsetting nearby residents who hope to stop the removal of the nest, where they say a pair of bald eagles had resided for several years. Spirit Airlines has filed for bankruptcy as financial losses pile up and debt payments loom. Spirit, the biggest U.S. budget airline, filed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy petition after working out terms with bondholders. The airline has lost more than $2.5 billion since the start of 2020 and faces looming debt payments totaling more than $1 billion in 2025 and 2026. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Finding the perfect gifts for everyone on your list takes time, and the holidays can get a little busy. So let Macy's help you get a jump on your shopping with our Black Friday sale happening right now. It's your chance to find the best deals on the best gifts before the holiday rush, like cozy puffers and coats and more of the season's best styles. So get your gifts at Macy's now, and when you're cool, calm, and collected during holiday crunch time, you'll have yourself and Macy's to thank. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Oh no, my phone.
Hear that? It's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. Black Friday starts now. Trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's up to $1,900 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Hurry into Verizon this Black Friday. Service plan required for Watch and Tablet. Up to $1,900 value based on phone, watch, and tablet. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Ask any player and they'll tell you any advantage is important.
That's where we come in.
SportsGrid delivers gaming strategies and analysis 7 days a week.
The winning edge.
It's your advantage to more winning
more often.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Hanging out some NFL playoff talk. We left off speaking about the Indianapolis Colts. I like them actually, plus 152 to potentially make the playoffs. And I'll just say this about Anthony Richardson. I know that a lot of people were negative on him, and rightfully so, the incompletion percentage. But in terms of the upside, if you could channel that in terms of the offense, the staff, and that just organization as a whole, you might have a playmaker for the next 5 to 7 seasons that can lead your team just the way C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, and some of the younger quarterbacks have done. I mean, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, you name it. I mean, Anthony Richardson has huge potential. You just got to find ways to limit the turnovers, number one, Scotty. And number two, if he can play the way he did against the Jets, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, that was been the biggest problem in terms of the completions or incompletions for that matter, and not knowing where to go with the football.
Yeah, you could say that was his best game maybe as a pro. I mean, it really was. I mean, it was terrific, And if he plays like that, or at least close to that anyway, then maybe some of the veteran players buy in and they rally around him and they accept the losses. It's great to have the guy win, right? But, you got your teammates, the teammates back when they say, okay, we may have lost this game, but you know what? The kid played well, and we see the future with him is going to be bigger and brighter with him versus, putting in a Joe Flacco. So, it's too bad, Joe, they're playing Detroit. At least they're playing at home, but this Lions team is so good. The last thing you want if you're a Colts fan is to lose like 40-7 and just, throw back everything you gained this past week. Right. I wish they were playing a more equal size component or opponent versus
take a huge. Lions. I mean, and I brought this up to Donnie this morning on the early line. Is that I guess if you want a negative for Detroit as a whole, it's almost I equated it to like a baseball season. We've seen in recent years the Braves, just mow people down in the regular season, right? Have the best record in the NL. Then they get to the playoffs, they're a one and done, right? Same thing with the Dodgers, not this year, but what was the year that they won like 100+ games and they bowed out in terms of the first round? So maybe they punched themselves out early. I would much rather have that team that trends from, let's say week number 12 or week number 11 straight through week 17 and catch that fire the way Tom Brady did with Tampa Bay, right? Where were they? Right? So that would be maybe the only negative. But you bring up Cincinnati. And you talk about, their value potentially, right? 4-7 overall. If you believe, honestly, that they can make a run, and I know the schedule lines up that way, you should bet the plus 490 right now to make the playoffs. Because if they lose against the Steelers next week, dead and buried, right? There's no shot that they can run the table. I mean, they could always run the table, but realistically, they're not going to get there. Right. They beat the Steelers. That's going to be probably what, plus 240, 260?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and you have the Colts ahead of you. All right. Who's buying into them? Nobody. You have the Broncos ahead of you. You have some doubts, obviously, about them with their situation as it is. But, after that Pittsburgh game, and that's the biggie, but it's at home, then you got a beaten up Dallas team. Then you got Tennessee. You have Cleveland, but at that point in the season, whatever. You have Denver, but that might work in your favor because they might be one of the teams that you're chasing for a wild card spot. And then you finish up with Pittsburgh at the end of the year, which, any kind of luck is a meaningless game for the Steelers. So it's not a bad schedule. You look at Baltimore's schedule, you look at Pittsburgh's schedule, and it's a landmine every single week. That's a doable schedule. So, if you want an almost 5-1 flyer, why not?
Yeah, I mean 5-1. You're not. We talked about the Rams, right? When the Rams were plus what 720. You're not going to get that value again. Same thing. They have an opportunity now with a division that's winnable. So we'll see how that plays out. What about Arizona, Scott? We talk about like MVP candidates, and Jalen Hurts is there, and now Josh Allen and Mahomes. What about Kyler Murray? What if we were able to pull off an 11-win season and get this team to the playoffs and maybe, make some noise, numbers wise? Would you buy into potentially Kyler at 35-1 to maybe steal it towards the end of the year?
Not a bad pick, Joe. It really isn't. And, the golf has separation Saturday. For the Arizona Cardinals, this is separation Sunday, which is why I think they're going to lose. Because if things go the right way, the Cardinals can really put a stranglehold on that division. They beat Seattle. Rams could lose to Philadelphia, certainly. Niners could certainly lose to Green Bay. Now, all of a sudden, all those teams have 6 losses, and you're Arizona. You're sitting there at 7-4, and you've opened up a nice little gap, right? Which is why it's probably not going to happen. But if it were, yeah, I mean, you look at the storylines around the NFL, it was going to be all Lamar, right? Well, Lamar's not going to get it. I don't care how well he plays. If they don't win that division, at this point, they're probably not. You're not going to give it to Russ, right? So, who are you going to give it? You can't give it to Mahomes. His numbers just aren't there. So maybe, Josh Allen, certainly. But Kyler Murray, would fall into that category, 35-1. That's not a bad ticket.
It's not. I'll say this about the game. They're 1.5-point dogs. I'm not buying into Gino. I know they got the victory over San Fran. I get that. It's a quality win. I'm not taking it away. But I would take Arizona, 99 out of 100 times in terms of this game. I just think Seattle is a team that's just basically a 500 club. I think they were basically, over-exceeding expectations with Pete Carroll. I don't think that they're going to challenge this team in any capacity. I know they're playing at home. It's great in terms of home field advantage. But look at the games they lost. They lost to San Francisco, right? They lost to the New York Giants when games that they should have won. And this team, Arizona, is really coming into form. And when he got hired, Gannon was not looked at like, this world beater of a head coach, right? Or hot type of coordinator. He wasn't looked at like Ben Johnson and the offensive side of the ball, like some of these right, Kingsbury, right? He was like, you want to say like a Dan Campbell type? But all he does is cover numbers, and now he's starting to win games. I love him for Coach of the Year as well. And I know that there's others that are deserving. But if they win the NFC West, Scott, he's got to be mentioned with these guys.
Yeah. Again, another ticket if you want to bet that. I don't know what his odds are, but that's not a bad ticket to be holding at the end of the year. It all kind of comes down to this one game. Can Gino put back-to-back good performances together?
No!
Probably not.
No, he's washed up. We'll come back and we'll talk more week 12.
The boys of summer become the champions of fall.
The World Series is on its way.
And SportsGrid brings you every angle. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Money Line at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-797-1292. 800-797-1292. 800-797-1292. That's 800-797-1292.
Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
Back on Football Full Circle, talking about Coach of the Year candidates. I brought up Gannon from Arizona. I'm trying to get a number on him, Scott, to see where he was. Season awards, I'll give it to you right now. What do you think he is? Because let me see what they have for him here.
If Murray's 35-1 for MVP, I would think Gannon would be in line with maybe not that high of a number, but I would think 15, 20-1.
Yeah, you're not even close. Plus 650.
Oh, Might as well vote Murray MVP then. 650.
Yep. So
you got a lot
Tomlin
of head coaches out there.
Well, you got Tomlin at 3-1,
Tomlin,
Campbell
right.
at 4-1, Jim Harbaugh at 5-1, Gannon at plus 650, Kevin O'Connell at plus 650, Quinn at 850, Peyton
That's where I
at
was going to go.
4-1. Now, with all due respect, he's got a veteran quarterback, right? Kyler.
Right.
Okay. But nobody thought Arizona would challenge San Francisco or let alone beat them potentially twice, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is Quinn has done it with a rookie quarterback. O'Connell's doing it with Sam Darnold, and Harbaugh's doing it with a veteran. So you want to say that Gannon and Harbaugh equal themselves out because of the veteran presence of Kyler and Herbert? That's fine. Then it's realistically Quinn and Peyton that should be in the mix, that have value. Would you agree with that? Plus 850 or 14-1?
Yeah. Notice no Nick Sirianni. And where's our boy genius, Mike McDaniel? There must have been a flaw in the rating system. Our genius is not part of that.
120-1 is McDaniel. And you said Stefanski is 500-1. Sirianni's 100-1. DeMeco Ryans gets no credit. He should have won it last year. Okay? With a rookie quarterback to win the division and win a playoff game, and you give it to Stefanski? I mean, come on now. They didn't do DeMeco Ryans right by that.
Yeah, they really did. It's kind of weird, right? How about, look, I can't believe I'm going to suggest this, but just to throw it out there, because, the Eagles could end up with the best record in the NFC and get home field advantage. Yet their head coach, who's a bozo, I get it, but so is Dan Campbell. Campbell's getting all this love, so how come Nick Sirianni's getting no love whatsoever?
I'll give you a better head coach that gets no credit. Matt LaFleur at 25-1. If you love Campbell and LaFleur steals it at the end of the regular season, that's not good value?
Yeah. He's great against the spread, too. One of the best coaches against the spread. You always bet that.
Want to take a guess on who the last coach is on the chart?
Do they even list Brian Dable and the Giants?
It's not even Dable. It's Jeff Ulbrich at 500. Jeff Ulbrich. You believe this?
Oh,
Jeff
my goodness.
Ulbrich. Are we kidding ourselves? Come on.
That's just like, listen, you know what? If someone's stupid enough to bet it, then you know what? Let the caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. We'll just put them out there and just, if someone wants to throw money down and lose money, then God bless you. That's what that
Zach
is.
Taylor 500-1, Eberflus, who's dead man walking in Chicago 500-1. So let me ask you this: first coach to get fired between Doug Peterson, Eberflus. Do either of them make it past week 14?
I would say Eberflus, because I think if Jacksonville was going to fire Peterson, they would have done it this week, right? So if you don't do it this week when you're on a bye, you're awful, you get walloped last time out, then you're probably going to last the season. May happen after the season, but I don't think anything can now happen that they would get fired. Not close with Eberflus. I think he could get fired in the regular season.
It's a shame that the Chicago Bears are going to put Caleb Williams into the same situation that they had Justin Fields, right? And everybody will be saying Caleb can't play, let alone new offensive coordinator, new coach. We'll see how it plays out in terms of Chicago. You mentioned Nick Sirianni, 100-1 shot. I'll throw this out. Sean McDermott not getting any love either, 25-1. It's like when you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, you never get the love that you deserve.
Yeah.
Right?
They're supposed to win. They do win, but you don't get credit for that.
Unreal. We'll be back tomorrow on Football Full Circle. For Scott Wetzel, our great producer, Danny Ohlers, I'm Joe Lisi. We'll see you tomorrow.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge